So, how are you taking care of yourself? Are you maintaining balance in your life? How's your physical health? What about mentally and emotionally? How are you going? Sometimes these are things we just don't stop and think about because we're so busy, doing all the different parts of our life. But it's really important to actually stop and think about that. I know for me, it was when I actually stopped and came to the realization that if I didn't look after me, there was not going to be anyone else doing that, that I started to make those changes around how I was looking after myself. And I kind of put my self-care as a priority, because if, something happened to me, then that would be it as far as that goes. Your health is such a precious thing. Now, hopefully we will get to talk a little bit more about that and have some tips about that as we go through. So I'm Marianne from One Life to Flourish, and welcome to Making the Leap, which is about people being able to go from their sort of job that they're involved in and creating a business that they love. Now, we're actually up to episode 20 today, and my special guest is Alison Felton, who's going to be giving us some thoughts around starting a business and keeping a business going, but she's also going to talk to us a little bit about some self-care tips as well. Now, before we begin, there is a little bit of housekeeping to go through. So first of all, if you know someone who is really desiring to start their own business and just wanting a little bit of help, or are already on track but maybe wanting a little bit more help, then please invite them over to join in. Now, the broadcast is also going live in a number of different places. It's actually originating from My Time TV Live. So if you want to comment to us so that we can see it, then you will need to make sure that you are on that particular Facebook page. Otherwise, I always try and catch up with people after and just sort of see your comments from wherever they come in. So if you're making a comment though we're not reacting, assume that you're probably not in the right place. All right. So my guest today is Alison Felton, who's a nutritional medicine practitioner and a personalised health consultant, and she's committed to helping people experience their full health potential, which is just what I've been talking about, and that's what we want. So her mission is actually to help mature women to gain a better quality of life, to actually give themselves time and care so that they can actually get to their optimal health and their optimal energy, all of those things that sound great. And the reason for that is so that they can actually have a really full life in all aspects and be confident about how they're looking and feeling. So she has got a huge amount of knowledge around our kind of topic for today. So it's my great pleasure to welcome her on board today. So welcome, Alison. It's great to have you here with us.
Hi, Marianne. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Not at all. It's great to have a range of different people that we're talking to. And I'm really looking forward to some tips at the end. So, that's something that I'm always, just conscious of how well I'm looking after myself. So all the tips I can get are great.
You can never have too many tips, for sure.
I think, and I think you can't be too careful about how you're looking after yourself either, for that matter, can you?
Yes, definitely, especially in this day and age. And there's lots of things to contend with to keep our health, optimal. So the more information that we have around that, the easier that makes it. So, yeah.
Yes, definitely. But anyway, let's kind of get to know you a little bit more and see your business side of things. So let's maybe start with just explaining to everyone what your business is actually about in a little bit more detail. We've found out a little bit about who you help, but maybe if you explain a little bit more about the origins of your business.
Sure. So I have a health science degree in nutritional medicine. So that's really looking at using food as medicine in our lives, not just something that we sort of eat for pleasure and fueling the body, but looking at all those micronutrients as well. And when I started working in clinic with this, it came to me very quickly that it's not a one-size-fits-all approach when it comes to health. So we're all very individual, unique beings, and a way of eating and living for one person might not be optimal for another person. So there's always going to be those those generalized areas that we should all be cutting back on the junk food, and we all need to move and manage our stress, but it's about how we go about doing that. So somebody, their body type might do really well with CrossFit, but somebody else might be better with yoga, and the CrossFit might be too intense for their body type. So I did some further training in both genetic testing and a personalized health platform called PH360, which helps you to understand your body type and also the genetic variations that you have, making it so much easier then to make good dietary and lifestyle choices, knowing that that's going to support your unique biology, and not just be sort of a generic, I don't want to say a fad diet, because a lot of the diets out there are very valid, but they just don't work for everybody. So just finding something that works for you as an individual.
So that sounds like you've got a really good range of things that you sort of bring into it. I mean, I know I've actually had my DNA analysed to see where my potential problem areas are, which was really interesting. And
it's fascinating.
And it sort of changed, it changed some of the foods that I was eating, because I realised that there were some that were not great for the potential in my genes, I suppose. So
yes.
So it is a really interesting thing, and it definitely does help to make it very individualised, doesn't it?
Oh, yes, definitely. And it looks at ways of supporting those variations so we age healthily. Because often when we're younger, we get away with a lot of things when we're young, we bounce back a bit. But as we get older, those genetic variations start to sort of make themselves known. And if we've been eating in a way that's not been supporting those genes, then it starts to show up in chronic illness or low energy and just maybe a quicker aging process. So you don't even have to have health concerns to use these resources, because it's a way of young people understanding their unique biology, supporting that so they maintain their health as they get older.
Yeah, it's kind of more about the maintaining it rather than kind of jumping in when things get really bad, I suppose. Yeah.
Well, we all know prevention's better than cure, isn't it? And if we can maintain our health from a younger age, and that's not to say that young people don't have health challenges, but we can still look at body type as well. So we look at diets very popular to be low carb at the moment, and that does suit quite a few body types, but there's some body types that it actually doesn't. They need those carbs to fuel their brain, and they have a lot of brain activity, so they need sort of those carbs to keep refueling that, and also just for more energy purposes. So it depends on you as an individual. So fascinating. I love it.
Yeah, that's really interesting, because I haven't really looked at the body type sort of stuff, so it sounds like it's a really fascinating area.
It is, yep. It's all to look at how we developed as an embryo. So when we're first conception and we're an embryo, there's 3 layers of tissue in that embryo that become different body types, and we're dominant in 1 or 2 of them, which is why we have so many different body types. We have the petite, fine bone ballerina style body type, through to much larger, bigger boned, carry weight easier. They're actually very good at conserving energy, which was in a time a very, very important ability to have. But in our society, where we have such an abundance of food and abundance of high energy foods, then for those people, they conserve that energy very well, and so they carry the weight. So we're looking at those areas to help them. Sometimes it's just small tweaks as well that can make quite a difference, and it can also be around the timing of when we eat and when we exercise. So some people are better to exercise early in the morning, another body type in the afternoon. And if that body type that should exercise in the afternoon exercises in the morning, it can have negative health consequences. Obviously, often it can help them to hold on to weight because their body gets stressed and they get the inflammation, so they don't get the results they're looking for. Just changing the time of day can be enough to start getting results. It's, yeah.
Wow, that's really quite incredible to think of something like that having such a massive impact. So
yeah,
it
yes,
sounds,
I know.
yeah, it's just fascinating. Wow. All right, so we kind of spent a little bit longer on that than I had intended, but it's so interesting. It
is
fascinates me. All right, so maybe let's focus back in on your business. So
sure.
So what led you to actually starting your business, and did you sort of have a particular plan that you were working on around getting started in business?
No, I had no plan at all, to be very honest. My life I've always been very interested in human biology and health. I was in the fitness industry before I got married. I then got married. We had 3 children. We traveled Australia a bit, and I started to homeschool them, and I homeschooled our children for 12 years. And it was then after that I went and did the degree, because I had a little bit of an awakening around my 40th year, where I really understood that cliche, we are what we eat. It's like the penny dropped one day, and it just, I just became insatiable. I just wanted to learn more and more and more about how the body can heal, and, how amazing it actually is. So then I did the degree, the health science degree. And when I came out of that, it was like, I did quite well with the degree. People were like, well, what are you going to do? And I'm like, should I do something with it? So my business has been a real evolution. And the only thing that I knew when I started in business is I had to start somewhere. So I actually just started, and I knew where I started was not necessarily what I wanted to do, but I didn't know what else to do. So I started there, and that has led, like we learn and we grow as we try things. That doesn't work, it sends us on a different direction. So I really just, I started quite ambitiously. I took on the tenancy of a building and started up a wellness centre with other practitioners in there, and just have slowly found my way into what I'm mostly passionate about and how I deliver that to my clients. So yeah, I had to go, really. No grand plan or grand vision.
Well, a lot of the people I talk to don't actually have a great plan when they're starting. It's sort of a little bit like, just kind of step out and see what happens, and have, and also around changing direction as well. You sort of go in one way, and then I think because we change and our thinking changes and even our learning changes, we then go off in a slightly different way. It makes it interesting.
I was going to say, the interesting thing about trying something is even if it doesn't work, it's never invaluable, because you always learn something through that process that takes you somewhere else. So even if it doesn't work, it doesn't matter. You don't stay in the same spot. It takes you somewhere else, and you learn on that journey. So you've always just got to kind of put yourself out there a little bit.
Yes, I think that's right. And I think you need to be open and willing to learn and to try things as well.
Yes.
So were there any particular things that you really had to learn or overcome just to help you get your business to where you wanted it to be?
I think the biggest thing to overcome is yourself getting in the way of everything, like your own confidence, that imposter syndrome. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know anything. Who am I to be able to help other people when I've got my own things that I haven't sorted out yet? Because, none of us are perfect. So there's often that feeling that you need to have it all together before you can help somebody else. So I think there's that constant reminding yourself that it's okay to not be perfect, and you don't have to have it all sorted out, and that regardless of your experience in that, we've all have our own life experience and our own journey, so we've always got something to offer. But it's just, I think, listening to those little stories we have in our head and do it in spite of those stories. So just getting out of your own way, I think, is always a challenge.
Yes, I think it is. Sometimes what's happening up in our head can just kind of put the brakes on if we're not careful. So it is a pretty critical thing. So obviously, were you actually employed in some way before you started your business, or had you been like stay-at-home mum and then student and then business owner, or what was your transition with that?
So I was employed, an employee in my younger years. So when I came out of school, I wasn't employed. When I came out of school, I did beauty therapy and I started my own salon. So that was a different journey. I then worked at the casino for a while. I worked as a fitness instructor, had a few other little odd jobs. But at the age of just before I was about 26, I stopped working before I had our first daughter, and I haven't been employed as such since then. So I feel like I went straight into business without being employed, even though I do have that past experience. But I also know from being employed that it wasn't something that I loved to do, being running to somebody else's schedule. So there was always that, when I came out of my degree, it wasn't like, oh, great, I want to be employed by somebody to work in this. It was like straight into doing it, my own way, I guess. So, but it's been a long time between employment and starting a business.
Which kind of makes it an interesting journey as well, because it means that, people, for example, who are currently back studying something, or women who have been stay-at-home mums and that kind of thing, there's nothing that can actually stop you from starting a business if that's really what you're passionate about.
Definitely, absolutely. And I must say too that homeschooling children for 12 years, in a sense, it's kind of like running a business in the way that you need to be organised, you need to have good time management, you need to have things prepared. So there was a lot of skills that I learned through doing that have been helpful in running my own business as well. And just having that, you build up confidence doing that you can actually achieve educating your children and them turning out okay in the long run. And then starting your own business. So, but yeah, I would encourage people if they have even if they don't have a vision, but if they want to get out there and help people, or if they do have a goal that, in this day and age, just give it a go.
Yes, I would agree with that. It's not going to hurt anything if you give it a go.
No, that's right.
So what would be your best advice, other than the things we've already talked about, for people who are wanting to start their own business?
My best advice is probably, first and foremost, as we said, do it in spite of yourself. Don't entertain all those thoughts, all those stories that you're telling yourself that you can't do it, and what about this and what about that. So just, listen to that, acknowledge it, but then do it anyway. And I think that's, that is what courage is, feel the fear, but do it anyway. Probably this is something that and I still do struggle with this a little bit. I felt like I had to have everything sorted and organized before I could start. So I felt like I needed to have the website and the branding done and the photos and all of those things that you need in business to get started, but you actually don't, and you don't need to spend a lot of money to get started. Obviously, you need to register your business name and have a few, maybe have a little bit of branding, but that evolves as well. Like, my branding's changed. So don't spend too much money at the beginning, because as you start to work with people or do whatever you do, things will change, and you'll want to go back and go, oh, I want to change my branding. I want to look at some different things. So if you've invested too much money to start with, that'll be difficult to change as you go along. And so I think that's one thing that we often think we have to have it all together before we can open the doors and say, I'm here. Yeah, and I think the other thing too is to not compare yourself with other people. That even if it's somebody doing the same as you, your personality, your experience, what you bring with that is going to be different. So say, for example, you and I are doing exactly the same thing. People are going to gravitate to you. Some people are going to gravitate to me because we're going to have different energy, different experiences, different things that we bring along to that. So there's nothing wrong with observing other people and learning from what they're doing, but don't compare yourself and think, oh, they're doing better than me, or people all like that better than me, because we all have something to offer, and we're going to have different people to resonate with us. So yeah, don't compare. Yes, collaborate, not compete. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's something that you kind of learn along the way, that being part of a community of, like-minded people is far more valuable than worrying about if they're doing something similar to you or not, because there's always there's always room for what you're doing, because you are the unique part of what you're doing, I suppose.
Definitely. And there's a lot of people out there. Like you might see somebody getting clients and you're thinking, oh, they're getting all the clients. But there's, if we look at it, there's 7 billion people on the planet. So, and because we can do a lot of work online too, we're not restricted to working in our local areas anymore, depending what you're doing and what you're offering, obviously. But there's lots of people out there, and you'll find the people that resonate with you. So there's not a lack of people and clients out there. It's just about you positioning yourself and finding those people that want to work with you. And that is a challenge, but I think that's a challenge that we're all in business. So
yeah, I think so. I think that's kind of the interesting part for me anyway, is how do I find the people who are going to connect with me the best, and get the most from coming and seeing me, as opposed to other people who do similar things, I suppose. So it's not really worrying about competition, and it can be good to actually collaborate.
Yes.
All right, so before we get to your top tips, I always finish off with talking about beliefs and what you might consider to be perhaps the top 3 beliefs that it's best for a business owner to have, or even some that maybe it's good for us to kind of get rid of to help us succeed in business.
Top 3 beliefs. Well, I think that top belief is you can do it in spite of yourself. That if that we're all capable of doing it in our own way. I feel like I'm going to repeat sort of some of those things that I've already said, because they are kind of my beliefs that you're as capable as the next person to do it. You have what it takes, and to have a little bit of that belief in yourself, in your own journey, and what it is that you can share with other people. Because I do it myself. I listen to other people, and sometimes I think I have stories in my own head that I'm the only one that's experienced that, and then you meet somebody else and they'd say something that you really resonate with, and you see that there's other people out there like yourself that do resonate with you. So just have that confidence in yourself, and start small, just taking small steps, and just keep moving forward. If something doesn't work, it's okay. Nobody succeeds without failure. It's impossible. You can't succeed unless you've had some, and whether we use that word failure, but something that didn't quite work that you learned from, that took you to the next place. And you can see that through all the, super successful people in the world. they had a lot of adversity and struggles along the way. They just didn't wake up one morning overnight and we're a massive success. There was a lot of struggles along the way. So just keep getting up and moving forward and just take another small step forward. There's something that I like to use with my clients, which is a Japanese principle called Kaizen, and it's small positive changes for continuous improvement. So we can use that in our health, but we can use that in our business as well. So just making those small changes as we evolve and go along for that continuous improvement, so we don't stagnate in business and, you know, even become bored with what we're doing, you know, just to keep it fresh. Yeah.
So with the Kaizen, is that also the one where you kind of do the celebration for the little successes that you have as well?
Yeah, it means in itself change for the better, but it's looking at it at small incremental changes. So yeah, and celebrating the wins along the way, no matter how small they are, because making changes in our health, in our life, in our business is not easy, and recognizing those small wins, you know, I'm sure it actually has a neurological effect in our, you know, brain wiring, just like practicing gratitude, it changes the vibration and everything. So that gives us more energy and positivity to go to the next step, no matter how small that might be, because if we take those continuous small steps and we look back one day at where we started, we'll think, wow, look how far we've come. You know, and but if we don't take those and we try to do the big leap, you know, that often that doesn't work as well. So it's like watching a child learning to walk. You know, they just take those small wobbly steps first, and over time they become quite proficient at what they do, and they're you know, they're moving much further and much faster. So yeah, I think it applies in all areas of life, but definitely in business as well.
Yeah, very true. All right, so let's kind of finish up with some tips. So obviously the Kaizen is part of what you might suggest people do, I assume, with their health, but I'll leave it up to you now if you want to go through a few things that might just help us to look after ourselves.
Yeah, well, I think particularly if we're looking at women as well, and this is not to say that men don't play a lot of roles as well, but I often find that the women clients that I work with, they have roles as a mother, as a wife. They're keeping, you know, their home together. They're potentially a daughter. They've got parents that might need their attention. They might be you know, they've got the animals to care for. They're doing a lot of roles, and then their own business or working as well. And we often put our needs last. It's not that we don't think about them or don't think that we deserve them, but we think, I'll just do this first. I'll just put the washing on first. I'll just pick my child up first. I'll just get the dinner ready first. So one thing that I think is really important is every week is to take time out where you put yourself first. And it's not without that sense of being selfish or, you know, that you're being a bit self-centered. It's really, really important for you to fill your cup, which I'm sure many people have heard this, but fill your own cup first for it to overflow to those others. So that can be simply as one day a week taking a relaxing magnesium bath with some nice music, some candles, if that's something that you like, and just having some time out. It could be getting out into nature, because there's lots of study now. They've done studies on groups, what they call forest bathing, and looking at the stress levels of the people. And those that went out and did the forest bathing and changed nothing else, their stress levels reduced. So just getting out in nature is hugely beneficial for our health. It could be regularly getting together with a really close friend and having a cathartic conversation, like getting all that stuff off your chest that you're carrying around and those thoughts in your head. So really just putting some time aside for yourself, for your own health, I think is really, really important. And it's something that we don't we think of having a bath, I'll have a bath tomorrow or whatever, but it's actually very, very important that we give ourselves that time. Sleep is really, really important for our health. That's something that I would really encourage people, is to have good sleep hygiene, a good sleep routine, because sleeping is when we do all our regulation in our body, hormonally, temperature-wise, neurotransmitters. It controls our appetite, a lot of the hormones that are getting adjusted then, our liver detoxifies. It's really, really important that we get regular, good quality sleep all the time. And the other tip that I would say is, with that Kaizen principle, if you're wanting to make changes, just make small ones until they become a new behavior and a new habit. So going cold turkey with things is often difficult. So just if you want to improve your eating, add something good in that you should have, and don't do anything else. Just start adding in more vegetables, say, for example. And then when that becomes regular, take something out that is not so good for your health. And do it slowly, and then over time, you'll get these changes where you sort of cleaning up your diet, but you don't have to change it all overnight. Go from what you were eating to something that's completely new, because that's quite stressful. You have to learn, new recipes, new cooking, get the family on board, and just maybe change one meal a day or one every second day for a while, and do it slowly. So hopefully that's helpful.
Yes, no, that's very good. And your last point is something that I am very passionate about, how we can install new positive habits just by taking those small steps, and just having the tiny bit, the tiny change each time, rather than trying to just throw everything out, bring something new in. It just tends to be heading for failure, doesn't it?
Yeah, and I think what we're trying to do is change behaviours and change habits, and that takes time. We've actually created those behaviours and habits over time. So to change them, you can't just swap everything out and go bang, completely turn around. I mean, the odd person can do that, but most people need to do it slowly and cement it in, so they don't get overwhelmed with all the changes.
Yeah, I think from the stories that I've heard talking to people, it's very rare person who can actually manage that total transformation successfully long term.
Yes. And there's a classic example when we look at people doing 12-week transformations, or 8 weeks or 6 weeks or whatever they be. A lot of them go in and they do the 12 weeks and do it really well, but in their mind they've gone, I'm doing it for 12 weeks. The 12 weeks finishes, they go out and celebrate with maybe a naughty meal and some alcohol, and slip back into those old habits, because they've made massive changes in a short period of time, and their brain recognizes it's only 12 weeks. But we want to make those changes so it's healthy, sustainable lifestyle forever, not just for a period of time. So
you don't want to, and it is kind of about that language that you're telling yourself. So if your language is, I'm doing this for 12 weeks, then that's what your unconscious mind is recognizing. Oh, I only have to do this for 12 weeks then.
And then I've done it, and yes, I achieved it. We'll go and celebrate, and then go back to what we were doing before. It's very
so a lot of the language is important as well, isn't it?
Yes, definitely.
All right. Well, those tips are great. The one that I struggle with the most is sleep. I still, but so I keep on working on it. We'll see how we go.
And it's just getting a good routine around that sleep. But obviously, our sleep is not always just about us. If we have small children, they're waking through the night. There's not much. If we've got other people in the house that works, some people work night shift. There's just so many variables around sleep. But trying to get a good 7 to 9 hours sleep each night, and trying to keep it regular as much as you can. Getting off screens just before you go to bed. Allow the melatonin to come in, so those screens are telling our brain that it's still daytime, and it's not allowing those sleep chemicals to start happening. So that can be hard. People sitting on computers just before they go to bed, or on their phones, and but once again, it's just making some small changes and trying to overcome that.
Yes, definitely. definitely. That's my problem. I kind of set up a sleep routine, and then something happens and it kind of falls apart, and I have to start again.
Yes.
So
that's
anyway,
okay. Just keep
we'll
going back. And,
yeah.
Don't give yourself a hard time about it. Just go, okay, that didn't work. Try again.
Exactly. I just kind of go, oh well, next thing. Yes. Okay. Anyway, thank you for joining me today, Alison. It has been great. You've had lots of really interesting perspectives on things that I hope our viewers have enjoyed. Yes. So thank you so much for all of that, and particularly the tips at the end. Definitely agree with all of them. They're not always that easy, but I think if we just remember that small steps is probably the big message, isn't it?
Yes, and it's one of those things around health and changes. They're actually simple, but they're quite hard to implement. So it's it's always a bit of a challenge.
Yes. All right. But anyway, we'll leave it there. So thank you so much, and I'll drop you out, and then I'll just kind of finish up. So thank you. Bye.
Thanks, Marianne. See ya.
Okay, so that was some really great tips and information ideas to digest today. So really glad that Alison had so much to share. Hopefully you got some really valuable information, because it was a pleasure just talking to her. So if you are really interested in some of the things that she talked about, just look in the comments where we've got some information about how to get in contact with her on Facebook. She's always happy for you to do that. And, you know, the different things that she talked about could actually make a really big difference in how you're actually living your life if you're at that point where you're wanting to make that change. So now the other thing that you could think about doing is actually joining my regular Monday show, which is called Monday Motivation. And I go live every Monday night at 8:30 p.m. Adelaide, South Australian time. And I actually talk about lots of tips and ideas around how to flourish in life, because of course my business is One Life to Flourish. And that can include things around physical health, mental health, actually things about building good habits and things like that as well. So, come along, check it out and see what you can find out. Otherwise, I've also put the details in there for getting in contact with me on Facebook, and there's also a free 30-minute goal setting session that I have that you can either just message me or look at the booking site there that I've included. So once again, thank you for joining me. Now, next week, slightly earlier time due to another commitment that I've got, I'm going to be going on at 12 midday, and that's Australian Central Daylight Time, so South Australian time. And come along, get some more tips and some more ideas. So thank you for joining me today, and I hope you have a really great week. Bye.